I get it. Pensions can be complicated, but Pension Bee is on a mission to make them simple with its podcast. So whether you're just starting on your savings journey, nearing retirement, or somewhere in between, the Pensions Confident podcast can help you to get the best out of your pension. I joined them for episode 5 to discuss the cost of living crisis, why it's happening, and when it will all be over. And you can find this and other episodes of the Pension Confident podcast on all major podcast platforms, which are available to listen to today. So welcome to episode 1 of Mrs. MummyPenny Talks. I am back again with season 5, and you can see I am not alone. This is very exciting. I'm also in a very posh studio with like microphones and stuff. We are doing this properly, aren't we, Faye?
We are. It's because we're here to talk about really serious topics. The cost of living crisis. Prices are going absolutely crazy. Bills are going absolutely crazy. So we're here to talk about the practical tips that can make a real difference to your budget.
Yes, so I'm sure that you will have seen me do lots of work with Faith before. So Faith runs the blog Much More with Less. Faith also used to be a journalist at the Telegraph, and that was your job. And you write for lots and lots of newspapers and magazines and do lots of BBC radio. So we are very well versed in cost of living. I'm sure you will have seen me recently on Good Morning Britain. It feels like the whole world saw me on Good Morning Britain get really angry. I think they did that on purpose. I've done Newsnight. I did Jeremy Vine last week. You did Jeremy Vine as well a few weeks ago as well, didn't you? So we are doing some quite high profile media stuff, and we really know our stuff. My specialist subject is energy. I know a lot about energy, and I talk a lot about energy. So we're going to talk you through the 6 different episodes. This podcast season is going to be a short one. I normally do longer ones. I normally interview various different people. I've interviewed Faith several times on my podcast before, or we've had a chat. So if you're a familiar listener or watcher, you would have seen Faith. So, and the wonderful thing about this podcast, which I probably should have brought in earlier, is that it's sponsored this time by our partners Pension Bee. So Faith and I have been working with Pension Bee for years. It's about 6 years for me, maybe 5 years for you.
Yep.
It's just to let you know that it is a sponsored podcast, but all views and all things we talk about are our own views and our own personal experience, which we are going to be sharing quite a lot of personal stories.
And I think that's one of the really important points. It's not just that we write about money, talk about money, make speeches about money for a living, but also we are both working mothers with kids at school. So we're going to talk about the things that have actually worked for us.
Yeah. So I have 3 boys. I am divorced, so I have my boys 50% of the time, and
I've got 2 kids, and I live in Suffolk with my husband, 2 kids and a dog.
Oh, I've got a cat. You mustn't forget Trev. So, in effect, I've got 3 boys and a cat. 4 boys. I was thinking about getting a kitten. I think it's loading too much into my life. Anyway, I'm not going to do that.
Maybe not yet.
Yeah.
The other thing we should say, background in money, practical tips from our own lives, but bear in mind we are not financial advisors. Mm-hmm. So you should not take anything we say as concrete financial advice.
Absolutely. I did a little bio of you. I didn't do a bio of me. Do you want to do my bio? No, I won't make you do that. I am a qualified accountant. I spent 16 years in the corporate world working for Tesco's, where I used to buy energy, interestingly. That's where my love of energy came from. I worked for EE, mobile phones, and I worked for HSBC. So I've worked for I also worked for Threshers who went bust. So I've worked in a lot of finance jobs, so I know a lot about numbers, and I've saved a lot of money for companies. But I set up Mrs. MummyPenny in 2013, so it's nearly my 10-year anniversary, as a hobby, and then I went for it in 2015 as a full-time job. So I've been running Mrs. MummyPenny since 2015 as a full-time job.
Excellent.
And we started pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, I started taking my blog much more with less, much more seriously from 2014, but I've actually been writing about money for the past 20 years. As Lynn said, I used to be Deputy Personal Finance Editor at the Daily Telegraph. So I think we're really excited to let you know what we're going to be covering in this particular series of Mrs. MummyPenny Talks. First episode, biggest bill for most families. I'm going to be talking about food, sharing the kind of tips that when I have done challenges before, we've managed to slash the food bills for our family by a third.
And what I will also say on food, which is going to come into it, is Faith and I have done a few joint challenges where we've kept spending diaries, where we've literally kept a spending diary for a month and then compared to each other, because we have quite similar, well, we've both got kids and we both have families, so we both have we've both got similar-ish size houses. Yours is bigger than mine. I live in Hertfordshire. Faith lives in Suffolk.
I do.
Yes, too far away from me, but I have been there. You've not been to mine though?
No, not yet. But I'm better at driving now, so maybe I can actually make it.
Yeah.
And I think the driving stuff is going to be one of the things that we cover in one of the episodes.
Absolutely. But what I will say about food is Faith is really good at food budgeting. I'm not, and we have proven this many times in the 3 different spending diary challenges we've done. We will put links in bios to all of these things we've done before, because it's really interesting comparing your spending to somebody else when you're quite frugal at food and I'm a bit of a spender on food because I see it as a luxury. But I'm sure you will you'll see where I'm coming from. So that's episode 2. Episode 3 is going to be about energy, which is obviously what everybody's talking about at the moment. Really, really important subject, because we've got this situation where our average bills used to be £108 a month back in September 2021, but it's estimated by Cornwall Insights that bill will go up to £450 in January. It's going to go up to £350 from the 1st of October, and this is for an average household. So we're talking about like a 3-bedroom household with sort of 4 people in it. So I know personally I'm paying £165 at the moment per month. So when I come to my renewal, I'm expecting that to go up to £450.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That is painful. And I think that's one of the things with energy bills going up, the price cap going up 80% in October. It means that for a lot of people, it's a truly dreadful situation right now. People have cut and cut and cut. There's just nothing else you can cut. But with energy bills and other prices rising quite so much, I think there are going to be a lot of middle-income families that suddenly are going to have to really watch their budgets, really watch their costs, which they never have before. And that's where we hope this podcast series can help.
Yeah, no, it's unprecedented. It's not unprecedented, is it? Because if you look back in history, like in the 80s, there were times where there were extreme financial pressures.
That's true. When interest rates went through the roof and people were losing their homes. Yeah.
And I mean, I was born in 1977, so I don't really have any memories of that happening in the 80s. So like you see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I used to be fine with like frost on the inside of my windows." Well, I'm not fine with that now. So it's unprecedented for most people.
In episode 4, that's where we're going to cover essential bills beyond food and energy, looking at all those bills, the bills you really have to pay, the priority bills, that really bad things happen if you can't, but also all those other bills that you just have to keep forking out for month after month and thinking about which are the monthly payments that you don't. What can you ditch and what can you switch?
Yes, and should we just reference there that if you just spend a little bit of time looking at your essential bills, like cancelling direct debits of the ones that you don't need and getting a better deal on the ones you do need, you can potentially save hundreds of pounds a month. So that could roll into £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 a year, and you're spending a couple of hours going through your bills, getting a better deal. When are you ever going to earn £4,000 for 2 hours worth of work?
Yeah, it could be the best day's work you ever do in your life.
Yes. So that is episode 4, which is essential bills. And then we've got episode 5, which is making money. And what we're going to be talking about there is, so I've been running Mrs. MummyPenny, as I said, since 2013. And I have tried every single making money scheme there is, the good and the bad. And I've got some quite interesting views on the bad, because there's some really bad stuff out there, which I will be talking about that I do not recommend. And I've tried them and I've been burnt by them. So I think that will be interesting in making money. But I will also be sharing we will be sharing so many ideas of genuine ways where you can make money. Like, one of my best things is raiding, those drawers in your kitchen that are just full of crap.
all the old tech, everything
all
that's
the
getting
old
dusty.
tech. I bet we could find. I know I could find like 3 phones, maybe an old tablet, an old Amazon Fire, whatever. And like, I've made like a couple of £100 from using one of these trade-in sites. You just scan it all, get a value, put it in a box. They come collect the box a few days later. They often tell you the amount of money's gone down, but I will warn about that. And then it's a way of making a couple of £100. So, and it's easy and it's quick, because I think we're looking for quick ways of making some money. And then episode 6 is going to be about debt. So I am sure listeners and watchers will be aware that I have very personal experience of this. I've only just got out of consumer debt in 2019, where I paid off £16,000 worth of credit card debt. And then in 2021, I managed to pay off my car loan. So now the only debt I have left is my mortgage, which is massive, and it makes me feel quite uncomfortable, but I can afford to pay my monthly mortgage. So, we're all good. And actually, I make small overpayments as well. This is really exciting, Faith. I've started overpaying my mortgage.
Brilliant. Because the difference with overpayments that it can make to your total interest bill is massive, because the mortgage debt lasts for so long.
I'm only making small overpayments, just to point out, because I can't actually afford it.
But even small overpayments will knock a lot of interest off and could potentially cut the amount of time your mortgage runs for as well.
Exactly. So debt is something, I said that energy is one of my specialist subjects. Debt is also a thing that I'm so passionate about, because it's so shameful to be in debt, and it doesn't need to be. So we want to really lift the lid on it, that many of us are in debt, and here's some ways to get out of it and to get some help if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do.
Absolutely. It is. Nobody has ever said they regretted taking steps to deal with their debt, and there is always something you can do, no matter how big your debts are. And I think to finish off the series, episode 7 is going to be about the future. Because I think while we're in the middle of this cost of living crisis, it can be very hard to you're dealing with so much day to day, but we're going to be thinking about, how is it possible to perhaps start setting money aside? We've got Christmas coming up, everybody's got birthdays, these annual costs, how to build a bit of emergency savings, and also trying to make sure, if you possibly can, that you're still thinking further ahead for retirement. We did a challenge trying to live on a state pension for a week. It is less than 10 grand a year, and personally, I don't want to retire on less than 10 grand a year.
Yeah, we had a total nightmare. And it was interesting. It wasn't just financial constraints. I felt like it impacted on my mental health as well, being restricted by. We had £178 to last the week, and that included bills, not our mortgage, because we maybe dangerously assumed that we would have paid off our mortgage by then. But we're in this position now where people have still got a mortgage when they've retired, or they're renting.
Yeah.
So we are going to share some of our learnings from one. We've done a lot of challenges. We've done a lot of challenges with Pension Bee, haven't we?
We have. I think that's partly why we're so incredibly grateful that Pension Bee are sponsoring this series of Mrs. MummyPenny Talks.
Yeah, because I've never had it properly in a studio with like producers and stuff, and all the editing done. I hate editing. With a passion. So yeah, we're really excited to have you join us for this journey. So 7 episodes in total. We're going to put them out every week on a Tuesday lunchtime. They will be all over our social media channels, and all over Pension Bees. So, yeah. So thank you for listening to Mrs. MummyPenny Talks, Cost of Living with Much More with Less. It's been wonderful having you, and we can't wait for you to come back next week again to hear us talk about food, which will be episode 2, which we think is really important to start with that topic. I'm Mrs. MummyPenny UK on Instagram and Twitter, and then my website is www.mrsmummypenny.co.uk.
And my blog is at muchmorewithless.co.uk, and I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at muchmore_less.
And thank you to our sponsors, again, Pension Bee, so you can follow them on social media as well and have a look at their website. And I think that's it. We will see you again next week. Thank you for listening.